FairWinds Winery in Port Townsend, Washington was started in 1993. Today we make about 1,000 cases or so of wine. Our winery is located just off the highway on the way into town. I'd like to tell you that our story was one of planning, but it wasn't. It was sort of an accident. In 1985, I was in active duty in the Coast Guard, as was another fellow down in Los Angeles. We got transferred to Seattle, Washington. And on Christmas Eve in 1985, a ship went aground in Port Angeles called the Arco Anchorage. They had a big oil spill. The law says if you have an oil spill, you're supposed to clean it up. Another law says if you don't do it good enough or quick enough, we can federalize it. The Coast Guard can take it over. We'll hire people to clean it up, and we'll give you the bill, plus a fine. So we didn't want to do that because it's very expensive, particularly for the taxpayers. So our boss calls us into the office. We didn't know each other. And he says, you guys go to Port Angeles and straighten that out. We want to federalize this spill. So we introduced ourselves to each other, took off, did that. That was no big deal. And the guy said, on the way back, let's stop in Port Townsend. Because the people in Port Townsend are concerned about ships lightering, transferring fuel out on Port Townsend Bay. Maybe we can calm them down a little bit, and we'll spend the night with my brother. And I thought, oh great. 3-bedroom ranch-style house, little kid on a tricycle, macaroni and cheese for dinner. And I said, okay, fine. So we went, and his brother lived in this old Victorian house. It was very nice. It was a very pleasant stay. And the next morning, I'm sitting there eating breakfast, watching the ships go by. And I said to this fellow, what could a person do in Port Townsend that would be legal? That wasn't necessarily a requirement back in those days. It wouldn't take all your retirement time and money and might be kind of fun. And he says, I don't know. He told me what he was going to do is something still related to the marine industry. And I thought, man, do this for the Coast Guard for 30-some years and then do the same thing. That wasn't for me. So we're on our way back to Seattle on the ferry, and we'd known this guy about 36 hours by this time. So I turned to him and said, you know, I've got an idea. Let's start a winery in Port Townsend. He says, what a great idea. So we're talking about this thing really crazy, and we've got all of our plans made. We thought, wait a minute, the wives haven't even met each other. We better take care of that. So that night at this officers club, they had all the shrimp you can eat and beer for $8. We thought, we'll take them over there, we'll oil them up, and we'll spring this on them. And so we're all sitting around eating shrimp and drinking beer, and the women are talking like they've known each other all their lives. And finally, it came down to me. It was my turn to do it. I said, ladies, we've been thinking, well, that is Harry and I thought the four of us should start a winery in Port Townsend. And they said, great idea. And we thought, man, we just blew $8. And so that's where it started. And so we came over to Port Townsend looking for property. We couldn't find anything we liked. And one day we drove by this property, and the top of the building was completely collapsed. And I said to my partner, I said, there's a guy in financial trouble. Let's stop and see if we can buy this barn and some property. Maybe it'll be enough to get him out of whatever kind of trouble he's in, and we'll have this nice little piece of property. So we go knock on the door, and the guy says, I can't sell it to you. I can't divide it. I'm in foreclosure. You have to buy the whole thing, the house and everything. And well, we had a house in Edmonds and one in Miami. Our partners had one in Portland, one in Woodinville. We didn't want any houses. So he said, no, we're not interested. We're not going to look at it. So he came back the next time that we wanted this property. Knocked on the door again. Thought, we'll try it one more time. And the guy said, no, but come in and look at the house. You'll like it. We're not interested. So about the third time I said, look, there's got to be some way we can get this equation going. Maybe it's looking at the house. Maybe that's what's going to happen. So let's look at the house. So we knocked on the door, and the guy says, come in and look at the house. So we looked at it, and it's got wood in it from 20 different countries. Every single thing, including the things around the windows, are handmade out of different kinds of woods. And it was just beautiful. We said, that's great, we got houses. So we're on our way back to Seattle. My wife's being really quiet. And I said, what are you being so quiet about? And keep in mind, we've moved every 3 years for 30 years, and we loved it. Loved going to different places. He says, I think that's a house I could stay in. I said, what? So we went back. Our house in Edmonds sold in 2 weeks. The one in Miami sold a week later, and we moved into the house. So today, in 2011, our winery produces about 10,000 cases, depending on the crush. We make some unusual wines other people don't make. We're the only winery in Washington State to make an aligoté. Aligoté is a white burgundy. It comes in the same place as Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and all this come from. We're the only winery to do that. Also, we make a Limburger, which a lot of people make, but it isn't really well known. Our wines are available at restaurants around Port Townsend and stores. Also, you can get them online. But the best thing to do is come to the tasting room. You can taste all of our wines here, plus we offer discounts. What makes FairWinds Winery unique are a couple of things. One is we source our grapes from some of the best vineyards in Washington State, as a lot of people do, but we take very special care to make sure they're hand-picked for us, and we get certain blocks that work best for us. Another thing is, everything we do in this winery is by hand. We have no automation. When we bottle, it takes 13 people to bottle. Everything is done by hand, from putting the label on to putting the heat shrink on with a little toaster oven thing we made. And so by the time we get done, every single bottle has been touched by every single person.